Welcome to the video presentation on the landmark case of Jonas versus PADAVATTON, which explores the concept of domestic agreements and the intention to create legal relations within families.
The domestic agreement has been questioned for enforceability until major cases clarified the legal relations within families. Legal relations involve creating obligations that can be enforced by courts if a party fails to fulfill their responsibilities. Jones versus PADAVATTON demonstrates how an agreement can be binding based on intention despite the informal and non-legally binding nature of family arrangements.
The intention to create legal obligations is crucial in contract law for agreements to be enforceable. This document has evolved based on court precedents emphasizing the need for parties to intend to create legal relationships for contracts to be binding. Although not explicitly stated in Indian Contract Act 1872, this principle is fundamental. Domestic agreements typically rely on trust and family ties with the underlying intention to establish legal obligations. The concept has been discussed by legal scholars such as Richard Austin Baker, who highlighted the importance of consensus ad idem in contracting. The case of Jonas versus PADAVATTON in contract law is a significant example that underscores the importance of the intention to create legal obligations.
The facts of the case are following. A divorced woman was living in Washington with her son. She was employed as an assistant accountant at the embassy. Her mother lived in Trinidad and wished her to be near her. She convinced her daughter to leave her job and join legal education, and if she became a qualified barrister, then go to Trinidad and practice as a lawyer there. The daughter agreed eventually and commenced her studies. The mother undertook to foot the bill. She also bought a house in England, and part of it was given to her daughter till the completion of her education. The daughter was not able to complete her education and also remarried. Mother and daughter fall out, and the mother commenced to evict her as to the occupancy of the house and sought possession. It was held the daughter was entitled to remain in possession of the house, and the mother appealed against the order. The legal issue of the case whether there was an intention to create legal relations on the part of the mother.
It was stated by Lord Justice Denksworth, followed by Lord Justice Solomon, that the present case is one of those family arrangements which depend on good faith of the promises which are made and are not intended to be rigid, binding agreements. Balfour versus Balfour was a case of husband and wife, but there is no doubt that the same principles apply to dealings between other relations such as father and son and mother and daughter. This indeed seems to be a compelling case.
The mother and the daughter seems to have been on very good terms before 1967. The mother was arranging for a career for her daughter, which she hoped would lead to success. This involved a visit to England in conditions that could not be fully foreseen. What was required was an arrangement that was to be financed by a mother and such as would to be adaptable to circumstances as it was. The operation of the house was not a completely fresh arrangement, but an adaptation of the mother's financial assistance to the daughter due to the situation which was found to exist in England.
It was not a stiff contractual operation any more than the original arrangement. Lord Justice Fenton Atkinson also quoted that many of the agreements do not result in contracts at all, and they do not result in contracts even though there may be what is between other parties would constitute consideration for the agreement. The consideration, as we know, may consist either in some right, interest, profit, or benefit accruing to one party, or some forbearance, detriment, loss, or responsibility given, suffered, or undertaken by the other. That is a well-known definition, and it constantly happens that such arrangements made between husband and wife are arrangements in which there are mutual promises or in which there is a consideration in the form within the definition. Nevertheless, they are not contracts, and they are not contracts because the parties did not intend that they should be attended by legal consequences.
As a result, mother's appeal was allowed, presuming that the arrangement took place as a domestic arrangement that lacked formality, which shows that there was no intention to create legal relations, and it was solely based on mutual trust, affection, and family ties.
After reading the entire case, it may conclude that domestic arrangements are such arrangements that are not enforceable in a court of law. Jonas versus PADAVATTON case is a testimony of that followed by Belfer versus Belfer. These cases are widely used in England as well as India too, since Indian laws have similarities with English law.
Now we can conclude that intention plays a significant role while making agreements and contracts. While making the legal contractual obligations, the parties involved need to agree with full consciousness and with clear intention to create legal relationships between or among them. Therefore, if legal contractual obligations are breached by any one of the parties, the other may approach the court for remedy. Ирина Александровна, я больше не поведусь на эти задания.